These are the words of Gaius Julius Caesar. In Gaul, one finds that every tribe, every clan, every subdivision of a clan, indeed practically every individual household, is divided into rival factions. The leaders of these factions are men who enjoy a particular prestige among their followers, who are prepared to give them supreme authority in judging and deciding any question whatever which comes up for discussion. This is a time-honored custom of theirs, and its object seems to have been to provide protection for every man of the common people against those who are stronger than he is. For none of these leaders will allow his own followers to be oppressed or cheated, otherwise he would lose all authority over them. Throughout Gaul, there are only two classes of men whom we considered of any real importance. The common people, regarded virtually as slaves, never venture to act on their own initiative, and are never consulted about anything. Most of them crushed down by heavy taxation, or the oppression of more powerful men, into the service of the nobles, who exercise over them the same rights as masters have over slaves. The two privileged classes are the Druids and the Knights. The Druids are in charge of religion. They are responsible for all sacrifices, public and private, and they decide all questions of ritual. Great numbers of young men come to them for instruction, and the Druids are very greatly honored by their pupils. It is the Druids, in fact, who are the judges in nearly all disputes, whether between tribes or between individuals. In every case of crime or murder or question of a disputed legacy or boundary, they are the people who give the verdict and assess the damages to be paid or received. Any individual or community failing to abide by their verdict is banned from the sacrifices, and this is regarded as the worst punishment that one can have. Those who are excommunicated in this way are counted as criminals and evildoers. No one will come near them. People will neither meet them nor speak with them for fear of contracting some guilty infection from any kind of contact. If they ask for justice, they do not get it, and they are debarred from any position of distinction. The Gauls, as a nation, are extremely superstitious. As a result, people who are seriously ill or who have to face the dangers of battle will either make or promise to make human sacrifices, employing the Druids as officiating ministers at these rites. They believe that the divine majesty can only be appeased if one human life is offered in exchange for another, and they have sacrifices of this kind established as a regular state institution. Some of them make use of enormous wickerwork images, the limbs of which are filled with living men. They are set alight, and the men perish in the flames. They believe that the gods prefer the execution of men who have been caught in the act of theft or armed robbery or some other crime. But if there are not enough of such criminals available, they will make up the number by sacrificing men who are perfectly innocent. One Druid is at the head of all the rest and has supreme authority over them. On his death, he is succeeded by whatever Druid is most honored among the others. If there are more than one of equal dignity, the succession is determined by vote of the Druids, though sometimes they actually go to war for the leadership. Each year, on a fixed date, they hold an assembly on consecrated ground in the territory of the Carnutes, whose land is supposed to be in the very center of the whole country of Gaul. Those who have disputes to settle come from all over Gaul to this assembly, and accept the verdicts and rulings given to them by the Druids. It is thought that the Druidical doctrine was discovered already in existence in Britain, and was brought from there to Gaul. Even today, it is the rule for those who want to become really expert in the doctrine to go to Britain and learn it there. The Druids are exempt from military service and do not pay taxes like the rest. These important privileges attract a great number of students, some of whom come of their own accord to be taught, while others are sent by their parents or relatives. During their training, they are said to learn a great number of verses by heart, so many, in fact, that some people spend 20 years over their course of instruction. They do not think it right to commit these doctrines of theirs to writing, though for most other purposes, public and private accounts, for example, they use the Greek alphabet. I should imagine, however, that they had two other reasons for this practice. They did not want their teaching to become available to everyone, and they did not want those who learned their doctrine to rely on the written word, and so fail to train their memories. For it is usually the case that when we have the help of books, we are not so keen on learning things by heart and allow our memories to become idle. They lay particular stress on their belief that the soul does not perish, but passes, after death, from one body to another. And they consider that this belief is the best possible encouragement to courage, since it does away with the fear of death. They also hold long discussions about the heavenly bodies and their movements, the size of the universe and of the earth, the physical principles of nature and the power and properties of the immortal gods. And on all these subjects they instruct the young men who are their pupils. The second class is that of the knights. Whenever they are required for service in any war that has broken out, and intertribal wars, either aggressive or defensive, used to break out almost every year before my arrival in Gaul, they all serve on the campaign. Each one is attended by his own band of fighters and armed retainers, and the more of these that he has, the more noble and rich he is esteemed to be. Indeed, this is the only criterion they have of a man's position and influence. The god most worshipped by them is Mercury, and very many images of him are to be seen. They regard him as the inventor of all the arts, the guide on every road and on every journey, and the god who has most power in connection with money-making and commercial undertakings. After Mercury, they chiefly worship Apollo, Mars, Jupiter, and Minerva, and hold roughly the same opinions about them as do other nations. That Apollo averts diseases, Minerva gives us the first principles of all sorts of craftsmanship, Jupiter holds power over the heavens, and Mars controls war. When they have decided to fight a decisive battle, they generally dedicate to Mars all the spoils which they hope to win, and after a victory they sacrifice the captured animals and bring all the rest of the captured property together in one place. In many states, one can see great piles of these objects lying in consecrated ground. And it has scarcely ever been known to happen that anyone will dare to go against the injunctions of religion and either hide his booty in his own house or remove any of the things that have been consecrated. The punishment established for such a crime is death under the most severe torture.